Thank you very much once again. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you back at this channel. And then, without wasting any time, today we are going to look at this subject which is called building administration and four. And then, please refer me so everything will be explained without wasting. And then you pick the site preparation buildings in different buildings that we can we are going to work at, and then we need to ensure that there is a planning and scheduling form a large and important part of managing the construction project. You need to plan before, and then we have to understand that planning and scheduling all the construction activities and possible pitfall will lead to completing the project on time within the budget. So remember that when we are building, we have something like which we call them pitfalls. And then we are saying pitfalls. These are the business ideologies, or these are the failures which can arise in a business environment. So we are saying that we must ensure that we are running away from the pitfalls, and then we complete the job on time. And then we've got the key concept that can be asked in the examination to say define the concept or the terminology proper planning process. So which covers the site rules, traffic management, safety aspects, and storage, and the waste management. And it can be for a maximum of 2 marks. And then if ever we are moving on, we are to see that here we are going to talk about the organizational structure on a building site. So remember that the organizational structure, this is a hierarchy of people whom are working on that part. It is known as the contract manager. So there must be a contract manager on that particular site. So remember, the contract manager will delegate now. It means he will enforce people whom are workers, different engineers to work now on field. So he will be delegating the authority. So you are seeing that as the title suggests, the responsibility of the contract manager, it is to manage all contracts related to specific construction project. Then you are getting your 2 marks here. And then number 2, the contract managers are responsible for every phase of the contract life cycle when it is drafted, negotiated, and signed. Remember that when we are signing a contract, you also allocate the time frame, the duration on when the contract is signed and how is it negotiated. So we are saying the contract manager will be responsible up until to the end of the contract. And then we are saying this includes all the other legal documents that are required for a respective project. So we are saying that there should be legalities which will form part of parcel to ensure that these things that they must be highly detail orientated and organized. And then we are getting your 8 marks if you have to write those points. If ever we are moving on again, we have now an organizational structure, but now we are talking of the general foreman. So remember that the person that should be there is also a foreman, and then is on the ground working directly with the people. So we have to understand that the general foreman or the site foreman is a person that is directly in charge of the construction site. Then you get your mark. This person performs similar duties to that of a project manager when it comes to the project site, but follows a more hand-out approach. So we are saying, although that is a manager, but he is working on the hands, although that he is having the very same powers, but he's working also. And we are saying that where the project manager might find a work from an office or on site, the general foreman is always on site. From here, the project progress can be directly monitored and problem solved as they rise. And then that is for 5 marks. And then if ever we are moving on again, and we are to understand that we've got a different personnel, that they are playing a function in the different responsibilities, which will lead to the productivity of the site preparation, and then therefore which will lead to the completion now of the buildings, right? And then if ever we are moving on again, we are to see that here we are seeing the organizational structure on a building site. We are talking about the trades foreman. So the trades foreman is different from the site foreman. So we are saying the trades foreman is responsible for managing workers, usually the artisan in a specific trade. So the trade is a particular test technically that they should be doing. And then number 2, the trades foreman is usually very experienced worker in a specific trade and is responsible for a smooth running of relevant activities. The trades foreman reports to the general foreman on work progress and any problems that they can arise, and then that it can be for a maximum of 6 marks. If ever we are moving on again, we are to see that we'll talk about the organizational structure on a building site. We talk about the key person that is needed when dealing with this. And as we know that these are workers that are trained for a specific trade, such as plumbing, welding, and carpentry. You get your mark. And then they are normally subcontractors or form part of the contractors team. That is number 2. And then the third aspect is that although artisans only focus on specific job at hand, they contribute to overall project progress. And then that is the last point. And then it will be for 6 marks, right? And then we must understand that we must move on again to understand other people whom they are also playing a vital function pertaining to this organization. So remember that again, we are having this particular function who are called the laborers. So what is a laborer? These are the group of workers that are working underground, now that they work on the ground. Ne? And then we are saying that laborers on construction site are normally people that are responsible for the supportive tasks. These tasks ensure that the construction process by the superiors. So these are the incompletions of the tasks of the day. Okay. And then we can also regard to them as the workforce. The workforce, on again, we must have what we call an operator on our organizational structure. We must have an operators, different operators. So we are saying that these heavy machines is often used large construction sites. The staff responsible for operating the machine are called the operators. They are normally form part of a larger construction team, and then that it can be for a maximum of 3 marks, right? And then what you need to understand is that in this module, we've got different personnel that they function independently, but they need to work together to complete that particular task. So that is what you need to understand in regards to this module, one of the easiest module. And then if ever we are moving on, we are to see that we've got the organizational structure on a building site, but we are looking now at the subcontractors. So these subcontractors, they take from the main, so they are subbing from the main contractors. And then we are saying the subcontractor usually comes in a form of a company hired to conduct specific work, which normally requires a specialized knowledge or tools. That is number 1. And then number 2, subcontractors may include electrician, plumbers, structural engineers, glazing companies, or any other discipline that the main contractor has to outsource. It means to look out now, and then you get a mark. And then we are saying that the subcontractors work with general foreman and the project manager. And then you get a mark, and then it can be for a maximum of 6 marks. If we are moving on again, we are to see that we have the storekeeper. And then we are saying a storekeeper is the person working in the storage facility on the large construction site. And then you are getting your mark there. And then if ever we are moving on, we are to see that we are having now the organizational structure on the building site, but we talk of now the gate watchman. So that is very, very important, because of the gate watchman is responsible for guarding the construction site. This is accompanied by monitoring the people, in addition to look out for trespassers during the construction and any potential dangers such as fire or water that may damage the construction site, and people not to steal. That is for 6 marks. And then if ever we are moving on again, we have what we call the site preparation. And then we know that the site preparation, it must be done before the work can begin. So we are saying that it consists out of the multiple activities to transform an unfriendly site into an acceptable state for construction to start. So remember that multiple, it means there must be many activities that must be done. The way to transform it is to develop it, because of maybe perhaps it was unfriendly. And before that, the work can begin, it must be friendly, it must be clean. And then we talk about this include, it must have the road access, it must have security, it must have site clearance, it must have the drainage, it must have supply utilities, and then it must have soil testing, and that can be for 10 marks, right? And then those are the aspects that we need to understand. And then if ever we are moving on again to the other important aspect of works that we need to understand, we have what we call the site layout. So let us talk about the site layout. And then we are saying under this, we are having the construction sites are inherently extremely busy, which makes the proper management therefore very important. One of the tools used by construction management to manage the layout of a site is a site layout plan. So you cannot have the site just but you must have the site plan to plan first. And then we are saying a site layout is a scaled graphic representation of the site that shows all the existing structure and the landscaping. And then we are saying this plan used to determine the best possible cement placement locations for the materials and the equipment and the movement of the routes. Then that is for a maximum of 8 marks. And then if ever we are moving on, let us understand that we have here the regulations. So we are saying regulations, these are the laws that we need to adhere to. Remember that you don't just build laws and regulations which must be stipulated and then they must be abided by. So we are saying the national building regulations are standards that act as a practical guidelines for everyone who wants to build a structure. So we are saying the word guidelines, these are the policies which must be followed before you can erect. So we are saying they are put into place to ensure that health and safety for everyone working in and out around the structure. And then that is for a maximum now of 4 marks. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for tuning on in this channel. Ensure that you are hitting the subscription button and you are sharing to those who are concerned. Thank you very much.